Pastry chef John Caluda has spent most of his professional career in his native New Orleans and has developed into one of the city's best. His pastry creations are the centerpieces of his Coffee Cottage in suburban Metairie. The dessert this time is a tiramisu. This version is more than reminiscent of a French yule log and is a good vehicle for Chef Caluda's impressive technique. The first step of the dessert is preparation of a jelly roll sponge cake, starting with 10 egg yolks and 1/3 of a cup of sugar.
It's always best to warm up the egg mixture to get the most volume out of it, and it'll also help dissolve the sugar in it. You can do this on top of a double boiler, or which is the safest way to do it at your house, or you can do it with a torch. Again, don't let it get too hot because it will cook the eggs and possibly burn them. And that could give a bad taste to the whole mix. Just warm it up a little bit. It's more than doubled in volume already. Okay, we turn it off.
Then this mixture is folded into beaten egg whites.
You don't want to overmix it, and you don't have to fold it too much because we still have the flour to put in and the flavor. And we add a little vanilla to this. The cake has a lot of other flavorings: cocoa, mascarpone, cheese, and espresso, and some liqueurs. So you need a lot of flavor in the cake itself. Make a pouch out of your paper.
This is 3/4 cup of sifted flour.
Be careful and splatter out of the bowl at this stage. This is a real simple cake to make, and you can make yule logs, jelly rolls. You can fill it with any type of jam or a pastry cream and layer it with fruit. You can make a lot of desserts with this basic cake. I'm not going to use quite all of it. I'm going to hold back about a cup. The amount of cake to the cream to the espresso syrup that we soak it with is kind of important. You don't want to make the cake too thick, otherwise it'll take too much syrup to flavor it. Always try to push the batter away from you. Don't try to work like this with the elbows out. It's very awkward, and it's hard to do it correctly. Just turn the pan around when you have to get to the other side.
The cake is spread on a sheet pan, buttered and lined with parchment paper. It bakes in a 400-degree oven for 10 to 12 minutes. The filling includes Italian cream cheese, mascarpone, combined with 3 egg yolks and 1/3 of a cup of sugar, beaten to a pale yellow ribbon stage.
We're going to add some mascarpone cream cheese. It's an Italian cream cheese, and it is imported. And imported makes a big difference in the quality. You can get domestic, and I don't like to talk bad about domestic, but it just doesn't have the flavor of the imported Italian. It's a nice soft cheese. It should dissolve real easily into the yolks now. You have to scrape it down a little bit.
Then whipped cream is added.
You can fill this in by hand or mix it in by the mixer. As long as you don't overwhip the cream.
After the cake is cooled, it is soaked with a coffee rum mixture.
The syrup that we're going to soak the sponge with, we're going to make that while it's cooking. You should let it cool a little bit before you use it. It's we're going to start with 12 ounces of espresso or any strong brewed coffee. You can use a French roasted regular brewed coffee also. And we're going to use, with 2 to 12 ounces, we're going to put 6 ounces of sugar, and we warmed it up on the stove just to dissolve the sugar a little bit. And we're going to use 12 ounces of this. And we're going to add a little Myers rum, about an ounce. And a little extra coffee flavor, some chlor, about an ounce, or an ounce and a half. You should let it cool, definitely, or you can even freeze it. Freeze the cake a couple days ahead of time if you want. And sprinkle with a little sugar. This will help keep it from sticking when you're rolling it up. Okay? Put another piece of parchment paper on it. Just lift it out. It shouldn't stick at all. It may stick sometimes to the sides, and you just cut it out with a knife and then lift it. Okay? That's what makes it easy with the paper. You don't have to worry about sticking to the bottom at all. It just lifts right out. You peel the paper off. And this is a total of 12 ounces, and we're going to try to get all 12 ounces of the liquid into this little cake. This is where most of the flavor from tiramisu comes from. It helps if you have a big brush, that take as long. Okay. Now the filling. You can make the syrup and the cake ahead of time, but try not to make the filling until the last minute because it'll start to weep on you, and it's hard to whip it up and get it thick again. Again, spread from the back of the cake toward the front. You can't turn this one around easily, so you start in the back and push it forward. It's going to be pushed out the edges, so you don't have to go all the way to the edges. Just make sure it's nice and even. Save a little bit of it. Coat the outside. Alright, this is the fun part. Rolling it up. Just use the paper. If you don't have the paper for this part, you can use a paper towel. Being it's so small, it's kind of hard to roll. You just kind of put pressure where your knuckles and my fingers are right here, so it stays tight. Roll it all the way up. Try to put the seam down. Then use the pan it was cooked in, or a similar pan, and put it on top of the paper. It's hard to show. And push it with your chest while you're holding the bottom piece of the paper. And that tightens it up real nice. And use the same paper. Make like a hammock to control it while it sets up. And you can do this part well in advance, and you can even freeze these as they are several days before the party. And it's easier to work with if it's at least been chilled 6 to 8 hours and the flavors get to blend together, or even overnight.
The frozen roll is painted with the coffee rum mixture and spread with the filling mixture.
Just get a piece of paper, start at one end, put your fingers at the corners, just pull it. This table's so slick. Then completely cover it with cocoa powder. If you don't want a smooth finish, you could ice it and then run a fork down it and then dust it lightly with cocoa powder. That makes a nice effect. Keeping on a sheet pan helps you get the sides a little bit because you can pick it up.
The cake is sliced for presentation.